Welcome to the Comics History Guy comic book review. Today we're going to look at Deadpool number 29, titled The Honeymoon is Over. This is part of Marvel Comics' Original Sin crossover storyline. And the Original Sin has a small part in this, which will have ramifications for Wade, our favorite mercenary, because the next 4 issues, 5 including this one, are related to the Original Sin storyline. So, let's get going. So, here we have the cover. There's also a variant cover which shows Deadpool in the Watcher's body. The Original Sin relates to the death of the Watcher. And maybe Wade did it. Maybe he didn't. I don't know. But this is the main cover. Shows his Wade as a child with his family. Looks like mom and dad are gone. Wade has a little etching of his Deadpool mask on him. So he's a cute, chubby cheek little fellow, wasn't he? So, the writer of this book, Gary Dugan and Brian Posehn, art by John Lucas, colors by Val Staples. So the Merc with the Mouth, the Crimson Nutcase, yes, the one and only Wade Wilson, a.k.a. Deadpool. So, let's take a look here and see what we have. By the way, we will try and avoid spoilers. There's a particular character we'll try and avoid mentioning or showing. Let's get going. So, with most Deadpool comics, we have the intro page here. It gives a little bit of a summary of what's going on, and it appears to be part of Wade's hallucinatory state. This is his bride Shikla. Not sure what that is, and that's of course his Wade in cartoon form. Imagine a cartoon in a comic book. So turn the page, and before we do that though, remember, Deadpool is R-rated. He kills people, chops off heads, limbs, etc. Kills himself once in a while, and he has somewhat semi-naked women about him. So, not for children. So if you're a child, go away. If you're not a child, we'll turn the page. So, as mentioned, Wade Wilson got married a couple issues ago, and here we see him with his bride, Shikla, and in their marriage bed, as it were. Looks like a satanic ritual is going on. Speaking of which, part of the storyline here is that when Wade married Shikla, she was no longer then engaged to Dracula. Dracula is, of course, a Marvel Comics character. You didn't know that? Oh, man. Ruined it for you. So Dracula's a little bit ticked off because by marrying Shikla, he would have become like king of the underground or underworld or something like that. So he's not happy. So his vampires are going off killing and attacking her people. So here we see some of the after effects of some of that. One of her people has been bitten. Shikla, being a good boss, makes sure he doesn't turn into a vampire by, So Deadpool flings himself into action, and he then is battling the vampires, which is something he enjoys doing. Everyone's got to have a hobby. So, vampire hits him back, yada, yada, yada. Healing factor. He brings out a super gizmo toy, blasts the vampire, and so on. And, of course, then, one of his hobbies here is, of course, beheading said vampire. Remember I said this is R-rated? So, this whole business with the vampires gives Wade a reasonable excuse to, exact mayhem upon an entire sentient species, i.e. vampires. Another part of the storyline here relates to agents Preston and Adsit of S.H.I.E.L.D., who are friends of his, working with him, and they are trying to find Wade's long-lost child. He has procreated, apparently, but the child is missing. So, that's another part of the storyline, which has been continuing on from a previous issue, and will, again, continue on. And I suspect it's related to the original Sin piece by Wade. So, Wade is trying to figure out where this kid is. At the same time, he's trying to protect his honey from vampires, Dracula in particular. Oh, bad boy there. So, I'm going to flip through the next couple of pages because Wade, in his insanity, comes up with a great idea. Let's find a way to get rid of the vampires. So, this whole Dracula underworld thing. It's a nice plot device for giving Poole a reasonable excuse to have fun beheading the vampires and designing plots to end the vampire scourge forever. Think vampire genocide. Of course, this being Deadpool, he goes about it in his own crazy way. Finding a superhero who shall remain unnamed here because of spoilers, whose powers are brighter than the sun. Hint, vampires don't like sunlight. So finding this person is fairly easy for Crazy Wade. Convincing said Sunny's superhero to help him white out a race of actual beings, i.e. vampires, is not so easy. Of course, the fact they mistook Wade for an escaped mental patient probably did not endear this hero toward Wade's crusade either. Undeterred, and we're going to flip through some pages so we avoid the spoiler. Da-da-da, there's Superman. No, he's not in Deadpool. Okay, skipping spoilers. We're now at the scene where Deadpool is attempting to find out how to get this superhero to help him. So he decides to go to the Baxter building, to steal something, which we'll see later. Meanwhile, Agents Preston and Edsit are at the scene of the Watcher's Original Sin storyline. And here we see Captain America, Thor, Iron Man, and the Exterminatrix all gathered there. And then there is a flash. And this is where the Original Sin storyline comes in, because Sitwell and Preston then learn something about Wade related to the Original Sin thing. Okay? So, again, I'm going to kind of just flip to the next page. And I won't go to the next pages because then we see who that mysterious superhero is. I don't want to give that away at this point. Obviously, the next review of the next issue, we'll have to talk about that. But that's next issue. So, Deadpool. I like this issue. But again, I like most Deadpool comics because, well, Deadpool's crazy. And how is that not appealing? Worked for Patsy Cline, didn't it? The storyline was rather linear for a Deadpool comic, which helps. Wade gets to kill some vampires. Excuse me. Spend time with both his lady and with his hallucinations. Double bingo for Wade. The art by John Lucas was okay. Facial expressions were kind of off. And I guess we could look at an example here. Look at her face. I mean, I've seen her in other comics. Drop dead gorgeous. Here, I don't know. Looks like a bad plastic surgeon worked on, well, her face in other areas. So the art's not that great, in my view, in this comic. So the whole Original Sin business was minor in this issue. Used more of a plot device to enable Preston and Adsit to learn more about Wade and what happened to his family when he was a kid. So that apparently is related to whatever Deadpool's Original Sin may have been. So we don't know what's going on. The daughter may be in the clutches of a nefarious villain. Maybe the butler did it. I don't know. Deadpool number 29 is a good read for Deadpool fans and for Marvel fans following the Original Sin crossover. I liked it. I will read number 30, and I will review that when it arrives. So, if you like these reviews and you want to get notification of them, please hit the subscribe button on the YouTube channel for Comics History Guy, and you'll be notified when we upload our next review. Thank you very much, and have a Deadpool day.